live. We are live. Welcome to live dog handler twice weekly now. So normally doing a Monday and a Thursday at the moment. We've done it wrong. Yeah, welcome to live dog handler. The chat box is obviously there if you've got anything you want to talk about, or any subjects or any questions. If you've got any questions that you want to ask me, but as it is now, it's just sort of a hangout. So just so I kind of come on here for an hour or so, just to hang out and give you guys the opportunity to, like I say, put something in the box. Jack, yo. I've just been on TikTok, watching live videos of Dublin, and Dublin has gone off. Yeah, I literally just turned off that to come and do this live. But Dublin is a scary place at the moment. So if you are in Dublin and you're not out on the streets, I suggest that you don't. It's a bit crazy out there at the moment. Apparently something happened. I don't know the full story. I think apparently something happened earlier on, and Dublin is in chaos at the moment. Buses on fire, cars on fire. Josh Green, it's mental, isn't it? Yeah, I've been watching it for probably the last 45 minutes or so, and it started with protesters or whatever they are against police. Then they smashed into a hotel. Then the police, then they set fire to like a tram thing and a bus. They started setting fire to them. So then the police pushed the protesters up the road, probably to try and get the fire brigade to the bus and the tram. And then further up there was some explosions, and then there's a bus and a car that's on fire. So it sounds like they exploded. How much sleep is too much sleep on a 12-hour shift? Asking for a friend. How much sleep is too much sleep on a 12-hour shift? Long enough for someone to break on, nick the wheels off your van and get away. That's how long's too much sleep on a 12-hour shift. Daniel Goddard, can you wear Crocs on site? I've seen a dog handler. Now, I've seen him turn up in Crocs, and when I've taken over from him, he's still in Crocs or sliders or flip-flops. I have seen that. Whether they change into boots during the shift, it's your guess is as good as mine. I'm obviously going to say no, as that is the correct answer. Your footwear should be suitable for the job. Now, I can't imagine you're going to wear Crocs or sliders or flip-flops on a building site in the middle of winter when it's boggy and that. But you should make the judgment to whether the footwear you're wearing is suitable, and if something was to happen, that you was wearing the right footwear to deal with that situation. I've got 2 sets of locking wheel nuts, mate. It's not a problem. You mean your friend has got 2 sets of locking wheel nuts? It's not a problem. Depends if they're steel-toed Crocs or not. Like I say, I've seen handlers turn up in Crocs and leave in Crocs. Don't know what happens within the 12 hours. I've been told by some dog handlers that in the summer they will work in shorts and flip-flops. I'm obviously going to say no, it's not something that I do. I hate flip-flops. I wear sliders at home, but they're like bin slippers, I call them bin slippers. So I'll wear them to take them out to the bins and that. But the very worst you'll ever catch me in will be trainers. So I've got trainers, trainer boots, and what I would call like my heavy duty work boots that I wear. But yeah, the worst you'll see me is in trainers, and that's normally when I first turn up, and then I'll change into either my summer boots or my winter boots, and then I'll probably might change back in to my trainers before I leave, or I might do that at home. Can you go to sleep on site? You shouldn't be sleeping on site. You are obviously being paid to to work. You are being paid to be vigilant. You obviously are being paid. Most of the time in this job, you are the only one on site. So look, never say never. I've said this before. Any dog handler that says they've never fallen asleep during a shift is lying, because stuff outside work gets in the way. Sometimes you might only get a couple of hours sleep and then you're back on for another shift. I remember when I was doing 15-hour shifts that not necessarily I'd fall asleep, but by the end of the shift driving home, it was a little bit hazardous to how tired I was. So no, you're not allowed to sleep on site. But any dog handler that says that they never have, then they'll be lying. Is there a canine response unit, not police? I would say that there possibly is. I know that Prestige, they haven't offered it to me. I haven't done it as a job, but they have said that if something was ever to happen, and let's say I went onto the mobile team, I could go and do mobile patrols with the dog. Now, problem is with mobile is that you are constantly going around sites all the time. So I don't think it's like an official role, but you could be a mobile driver with a dog on board. That there would be nothing. I can't see that there's any reason why there's anything against that. But yeah, so I don't think it's a designated role, but if I was to do mobile patrol, I would probably do mobile patrol in my vehicle with the dog in the back. I've just seen the McDonald's in Dublin's getting hammered. Yeah, it's not a designated role, but if I was to do mobile patrol, I would probably do mobile patrol with a dog, and then occasionally on sites I'll get the dog out and patrol the dog. So yeah, as long as each site that you go to obviously has the relative signs on the gates or entrances or egresses, as long as they got the relevant signs that you can patrol your dog on there, then there's no reason why you couldn't do it. What I would say is I've never heard of a dog unit that is based in a certain area waiting for a call to attend the property that the alarm's been set off. You will probably either be a mobile driver, so that you're going around constantly working all night, or you'll be someone like me who sits on a site and protects it. I don't think that there is a job role of being in a location waiting for a call in order for you to get activated onto an issue on a site. Right, where did I get up to there? So Crocs. I have a plastic Labrador with a coin slot in the top of the head. Can I get a NASDO on him? His sit, stay, and is perfect. Well, it might be better. He might be able to do the 2-minute sit or sit stay. Is it? He'll be able to do that 2-minute sit stay. Porsche Canine, evening, mate. How you doing? David Goddard, I have narcolepsy. Is that a problem as a dog handler? I would say no. I'm not 100% sure what narcolepsy is. I would say no. I've spoken to a few people before that have had, not issues, that's the wrong word, that have got some concerns on their conditions to whether they would be able to do the job or not. And I've always said, look, if you can pass your SIA, then you'll be qualified in order to do it. If you go to dog training, the trainer is always going to be the person that pass or fails you. So if you go to a trainer is not going to pass you if they don't think it's either safe for you or safe for the public for you to work. So obviously people have different levels of conditions. Some people have it quite mild, some people have it quite severe. What I would say is that most trainers won't pass you on the NASDO, or they won't pass you on a team certificate if they think that it's going to be dangerous for you. And I think that if that is the case, they should sit you down and explain to you why they don't think your condition is safe for you to do the job. Also, I would say that if you're not safe if you're not going to be safe with a dog, they should sit you down and say, look, as a person, we think that you're okay, but due to your condition, and now it might not be narcolepsy, it might be something else, they might say, look, because of your condition, we don't feel safe and putting our name to passing you for you to go and patrol a dog that is trained in what our dogs are trained to do. So I wouldn't say it's a definite no. It's a conversation to have with the SIA before you go and do your SIA course. But then once you pass that, speaking to a trainer before you go out and you buy a dog and you get all the equipment and that, just go into a trainer, explaining the situation, and then maybe if the trainer has one of their own dogs or a course dog, maybe you could do like a taster day where you go for a session and the trainer can make his mind up on that session to whether he thinks, or maybe you do 3 or 4 sessions, he can then make a judgment before you go out, spend all the money on the dog, etc., to whether he feels that you'll be safe or whether it's safe for you to do the job. Do you take your missus' toys with you in the van? Strike Thunder, hi mate, how you doing? Chip King, static guards, sleep on site, dog handler is never asleep on site. Yeah, I would say, well, I don't want to, I think because we have dogs and we have not more to do, but obviously we try and do more during our shifts than a static guard would, whether that's going to be doing some training with the dog, playing with the dog, whatever it is. I think because we are more active in our work, etc., because obviously we are looking after the dog's welfare on site as well. I think that's possibly why. If you are a static guard and you're just sitting there watching me on YouTube, you might end up falling asleep. An interesting one that Chip King. So Chip King commented on my last live, and said to me to ask the question to dog handlers of what they would change in terms of NASDU training and certification. Would there be any changes that dog handlers would make on training and certification? Now, my big one would be, in terms of certification, there being an SIA dog handler license rather than being either a security guard or a door supervisor, and then the NASDU being on top, having a dog handler license. Because the thing is, with security guard and door supervisor you can work licensed premises, security guard you can't. So having one dog handler license where everyone that has that license can do all the same sites would be my preferential thing. And like I say, when it comes to handlers misbehaving on site, etc., losing your dog handler license means that you won't be able to use the dog. That would be my one change. In terms of training, I've not really experienced a lot of different trainers, so I think it'd be hard for me to say, because I'm used to sort of Terry's training or the people that are training underneath him. But what I would say is that if any trainers or any CT training has not got a Q&A, like a question and answer part of the day where everyone sits down and the trainer asks questions and asks people to answer it or throw something out there just to keep people on top of their paperwork side or their security guard side of it, I'd say if that's not part of your CT training, then that should be it. But other than that, I'll leave it up to you guys to see if you've got anything else. If you're asleep and something goes missing, your insurance will definitely have a good excuse not to pay out. They would have to prove that you was asleep at the time, but yeah. Isn't narcolepsy where you suddenly fall asleep all the time? Possibly, I don't know. 2 Viagra and a Red Bull doesn't give you wings but keeps you up all night. Chip, speak for yourself. Great info, try and find a trainer. Lachlan, I'm not going to answer that, although I have called a lot of people wankers out of my van. Granny's hoping to do training not next week but the week after. It all depends, because when I spoke to him, he was either going to do Tuesdays or Fridays, because they were obviously the same days that Terry was doing. Tuesday falls right in the middle of my working week, and I'm not one for finishing a shift, training, and then having a shift later on. Friday I can do, because I don't work Friday nights. So I think it depends on what day he does it. From what I heard, he was only going to do one day a week, which kind of limits a lot of people. So, but if he can, if he can do Fridays as well as Tuesdays, or if he does a Friday, then I'll more chance of me doing it. I do need to go and do some CT training. And my NASDO certification is coming up, needing renewal next year. Craig, is this the new hangout? This is the new place to be. This is the new place to be on a Monday and a Thursday around 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I've not committed to a time, but I'm going to try and do Mondays and Thursdays when it's possible. Obviously, if something's happening with work or on site, etc., obviously I'm not going to be doing it. But if possible, Mondays and Thursdays between 7 and 9. You'll have to look during the day. Normally about 3, 4 o'clock, I'll schedule the time of what time I'm going to do the live. Obviously, if something happens and at that time and I'm dealing with it, obviously I'm not going to go live whilst I'm doing it. I'll do it afterwards. But yes, Mondays and Thursdays is what I'm aiming for, around between 7 and 9 at some point. Probably 8 o'clock is a decent time for me. I've heard you're a golf instructor, not a dog handler. I wouldn't say I'm a golf instructor. I think I'm okay at golf. I've just lost my handicap because I haven't played enough competitions. I've probably only played about a dozen times this year. I'll play off one, so a half decent standard. So I can give people more on course tips rather than I can swing tips, because the worst thing is that you give someone a half a swing tip, it doesn't really work, and then you mess them up. So I'm happier to do course management stuff and help people out that way. If people ask me, then I'll do what I can. But yeah, I wouldn't say instructor, but I can help people out. Did you get a chance to watch Robert Cabral? If you know, what did you think? I watched a little bit of his stuff yesterday, I think it was. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I watched a little bit of his stuff yesterday. Interesting guy. Now, the first video that I turned on to, he was speaking, he's Austrian, isn't he? So I didn't understand a word that video was, but then I went down the list and found some of his videos. He was talking about some dog training, some dog show in Germany, and about one of the blokes that's meant to be part of it. They're trying to get him thrown out. So I listened and watched a bit of his stuff. A lot of his stuff is kind of the dogs that need rehoming, showing that the dogs that need rehoming, that they're obviously decent dogs, etc., and they're well behaved, and then trying to get them adopted, which is a good thing. So yeah, I watched some of his stuff. Is it something that I'm going to watch religiously? Probably not. I saw that he had some podcast stuff. I didn't actually watch them. So if I was going to go back on and just watch some of his stuff, I might give some of his podcasts a go. At the time, I just didn't have an hour and a half it was in order to watch it. So yeah, I'll probably go back and maybe listen to a couple of his podcasts and see what comes out of that. But yeah, like I say, I think he's obviously doing some decent stuff, especially with the dog shelter, trying to get the dogs rehomed, etc. So more to watch, but yeah, I can see why people will be interested in it, and obviously he is doing some good stuff. Sometimes I cover myself in Vaseline and pretend I'm a slug. Sometimes I lay on the floor in the kitchen and pretend I'm a crumb. And dive in salt bins and live dangerously. I've got a handicap. I can sell you cheap. Proper swinger. if you're ever in London and you want a decent night out, go to Swingers in London. It's a crazy golf thing. It's a crazy golf place in London by, is it The Egg? I think it's called The Egg. So if you're ever in London and want a decent night out, Swingers is a decent place. Like I say, it's 9 or 18 holes, crazy golf indoors, with a bar and food and all that sort of stuff. It's actually quite interesting. Do that. So yeah, has anyone else got anything they want to talk about apart from making me say random stuff? It's my last shift of the week until Sunday night, and then I'll be back at it. A few more weeks to go until Christmas. I can't wait. Nice Christmas break off. I want to say I deserve it, but to be honest with you, I probably don't. I can't say I work hard enough that I need to have a Christmas break, but I've managed to save up a lot of holiday this year that I can do it. Weather is taking a turn as well. It's time to definitely time to start thinking about attire when I go to work. So at the moment, over the last sort of maybe month, etc. Oh, actually, as it comes up, 7 degrees tomorrow, 7 cooler than today. So that's 7 degrees. That's a 7-degree high tomorrow. Thankfully, obviously, I'm not working tomorrow and Saturday because it's meant to get down to 0 -1 over the weekend. So for the past month, I've been wearing a couple of decent pairs of socks, some skin bottoms, my trousers, a skins top, a t-shirt, a jumper, and then my jacket. This is a super dry ski jacket, which has been the warmest jacket I think I've had. But it might start looking like you need to think about maybe something a little bit thicker under my trousers, which will probably be a pair of trackies to keep warm. Good thing about this site is I have a plug socket, so I've got my extension lead, I've got my heater that I spoke about in a couple of lives ago last week, I think it was. So I can keep the inside of this van to a decent 16 to whatever degrees. Leave the back door cracked for the dog so he gets some fresh air and that. But over the next couple of weeks is going to start getting a little bit cold. Something else that happened on this site, and I think it's something that obviously you need to keep in mind, is I went away for a week, and whilst I was away, so I think, now did the video for this site go up on Patreon or did it go up on YouTube? I think I've done a video about this new site, and in that video I explained that there was like a metal rod. So there was a metal rod that was sticking about 3-4 inches off the floor, and at the end of it was cut. So if you backed your van into it, it could easily damage your van, etc. And then when it rains, there's a big puddle that covers it up. So if a dog goes running into it, the dog's not going to see the metal rod. Now, whilst I was away, someone actually pulled one of them metal rods up, and it's a good 2.5-3 foot. So all of a sudden we had a 2.5-3 foot iron rod sticking straight up in the air. Now, if you was to trip and fall, or the dog was chasing a ball, you or the dog could quite easily impale himself on it. Now, what I did is I actually found a cone, and I've put a cone over the top of it to, obviously, as a bit of health and safety, or just so that you can see it, because in the dark you just can't see it. And like I say, if you trip and fall, you could impale yourself on that. So something that the other dog handler probably should have done when he stuck it straight up in the air is probably something that he should have done. But this comes back to your ongoing risk assessment of a site, and stuff changing. It might not be stuff that you do, but it's stuff that continuously changing on site, consistently doing risk assessments. And obviously, if someone does something like that and they haven't done anything about it, make sure you find something to make people aware of it, or try and stop a possible injury from happening. So yeah, that's something that's happened. I think that is an important thing, is to, do they call it dynamic risk assessment? So if you spot something that is now a risk, then do something about it. Obviously the people that have been working on the site whilst I weren't here was just leaving it. They obviously knew about it, but let's say a trespasser come on site and they tripped up and impaled themselves on it, or they decided to have a bit of a go and fell on it and hurt themselves. Guess who that will come back on? It's going to come back on the company, but then it's also going to come back on the handlers of why that's been allowed to stick up in the air for someone to obviously injure himself. Or, like I say, trying to keep the cost of any vet bills down, making sure that your dog don't impale himself on it, because you don't want to be your dog chasing a ball and the next minute you're down the vets with a $5,000 bill because the dog's managed to slice himself open on an iron rod. So yeah, I think that's something that's worth talking about. And like I say, I think a lot of people, I've seen a lot of handlers doing this job where I walk onto a site and maybe other handlers have had the site for maybe 3-4 weeks, or they've been doing it for a week, etc. And I walk around, I walk on something, I'm like, that is obviously a risk. Why is no one doing anything about it? And I think a lot of handlers walk onto sites and they just assume it's not their job. That's the job of the office. That's the job of someone higher up than them. But at the end of the day, whilst when you have a trespasser on site, you have to remember that their safety or their condition is your priority at that point. If they injure themselves whilst you're dealing with them, if they trip over, smack their head or whatever it is, that's going to come back on you. So making sure you're going around, if you see something that's dangerous, like I say, a 2.5-3 foot iron rod sticking right up in the air where someone could impale themselves, that is a hazard. And I think that's what, when people ask me about what I want out of my channel, and I've said this, look, the idea is that people that are watching my channel that want to come into the industry, is making sure they do stuff right, making sure they're doing stuff right from the start. And like I said, I've been working on this site with other handlers and that, and the handlers that are on this site just don't see that as their job. Now I see that as my job, because I want to keep everyone safe, and obviously I want to keep everyone's dog safe. Imagine if I pulled that iron rod up 3 foot in the air, and then the dog handler that was on after me, his dog impaled himself on that, and hopefully it never happens, but it killed his dog, or he got stuck with a $5,000 bill. How do you think do you think he's going to be happy with me? Do you think he's going to come back and ask me to pay some of them vet bills? Possibly. And like I say, just because you don't think it's your job doesn't mean it isn't. Ron Kaminsky, hi Michael, I'm an ex-dog handler, medically retired now. Love your channel, missed the job so much. Well, I'm sorry that you are obviously medically retired. That's obviously not the way that you probably wanted to end it. I'm glad you love the channel, and hope it doesn't bring back too many memories of you missing the job. But obviously, this is I think out of a lot of stuff, I would say that this job is more of a lifestyle than it is just a job. Now, there's plenty of jobs that can become lifestyles, but I think out of a lot of jobs that I've done or anything like that, this is a lifestyle job. And if you have to be medically retired or whatever it is, you don't just lose your job as a dog handler, you kind of lose part of your lifestyle, because when you leave work, you obviously take your dog home and things like that, and it's part of a lifestyle. And maybe if you're medically retired and you're obviously not doing the job anymore, then you don't have the dog, so then you start missing having the dog, having that type of dog around, etc. as well. And I think that when you do this job, you have to take it on as a lifestyle. Now, I have said in videos that I see this as a job, not as a lifestyle. And the way in which I mean with that is that I'm happy to do my 4 or 5 shifts a week, and that's it. Where other dog handlers will do 7-10 day stretches, they will see it as a lifestyle. Their whole week is evolved around being a dog handler and doing as many shifts as they can, being as busy as they can with the dog. Now, I just want to do my 4 or 5 shifts a week, have my 2-3 nights off, and just work that way. So I do see it as a job, and it's regimented. And I'm not saying I wouldn't help Prestige out. If they really needed my help, then I probably would help them out, but I'm not going to take a Saturday shift because I want to go and do it. I'd rather have that day off. But definitely, if you are medically retired, or you do end up retiring, you don't need the dog anymore. And if it is a medical thing, that means that you don't want to have that type of dog around because you can't control the dog or different things like that, then obviously it's a big miss to your life. So I'm hoping that my videos bring back some good memories, and you can kind of live your dog handling journey through watching some of my stuff, especially like the training stuff as well, and things like that. I think out of everything, if I had to stop doing this job tomorrow, the one thing that I would miss is going out, doing the training, doing the patrol training, doing some of the protection training, doing some of the article search training. If I wasn't able to do this job anymore, I think that would be the one thing I'd miss. Sitting on a site for 12 hours, playing with the dog and doing some training with the dog is nice, but actually going to training and doing some proper patrol training with someone out there that you want to find, and doing some stuff with your dog, and being around other dog handlers would probably be the main thing I would miss if I couldn't do this anymore. Oh man. Oh. What we at? Half hour. That half hour went quick. Has anyone got any updates on Dublin? Has anyone got any updates on Dublin? Heard that McDonald's and that was getting smashed up. I often think that I was going to say about this, because I think I need to do an update video on my wages video. So someone the other day commented on my wages video, and they said that the money was crap, and as a dog handler you can never get 5 night shifts a week. If you can only get 7 night shifts a week if you live on site, etc. And although that is outrageously incorrect, they've either not been a dog handler or they've been speaking to the wrong people. And I think if you get into the wrong groups on Facebook and that you will get told that there's not enough work for dog handlers, and the money's he was just a muppet with a drone. That he was saying that he's obviously been speaking to people that have no idea. Now, what I would say in terms of that video, so the wages video that I'd done, it was basically just a formula for people to work out, if they get offered a job as a dog handler with a rate, how to work out what that means in an annual income. Because it's quite easy saying, oh, I'm going to be on £11 an hour. That's going to give me X amount of money per shift. Now, the way in which my brain works is that I don't care what I earn per shift. I don't care what I earn per week. What I schedule my working on is, if I work this many days, how much do I earn per year? And that's the way in which that formula was. Now, for ease of the video and ease of explaining the video, is I set it at £10 an hour, because it was a nice round number, it's easy to work out, and I can give people whole round numbers. Now, what they've done is they've taken that £10 an hour as gospel, as that being the average wage for a dog handler. In that video, I do say, look, this is the low end, or this is the lowest end. And that video is 2 years old anyway, and the minimum wage, I mean, the minimum wage next year in April is going up to £11.44. So you would expect a dog handler to be on no less than £12.50, because otherwise you might as well go and work at Costa for £11.50 if that's all you're earning. Now, what I would say with the difference in between working, let's take I'm not sure if this is correct, so don't quote me on this as it being correct. Now, what I would say, when people say, well, I could go and be a labourer for £11.50 an hour. Now, if you're going to go and be a labourer for 11.50 an hour, you're probably only working 9 hours a day, so you're only getting paid 11.50 for 9 hours. This is just a discussion. That's probably not what you're going to earn, but just stay with me. If you're only going to learn 11.50 an hour for 9 hours, well, most security dog handler jobs are 12 hours. So in my head, his 1 day's wages are going to be less than my 1 day's wages, even if we're on the same money. So when people say, well, I could go and work at Costa for 11.50 an hour, why should I be a dog handler for 11.50 an hour? Well, that's fine, but if you're only working 7 hours and I'm working 12 hours, you might have more free time and be able to do certain stuff, but I'm taking home more money. So I think I need to do an update on that wages video. Probably going to do that nearer to April, when, like I say, the minimum wage is going to go up to 11.44, because then you would expect that no dog handler is going to be on less than 12.50 probably at the very minimum, because I think that if you have certificates, or if you are in this job, it's not a minimum wage job, it should be above that. And don't forget, with the amount of hours and the stuff that we do, £1 an hour is roughly equates to £3,000 a year pay rise. So with the minimum wage going up by £1, if our wages go up by £1, we're not talking that it's like £1 an hour. We're talking like we're now earning like another £3,500 a year that we wasn't earning last year. So I think that is an important thing to think about as well. It's not just see it as, oh, they've only given me 50p more an hour. Think of it as, okay, they're giving me another 1,700 quid a year that goes on top of what I was doing last year, and my job has not changed. If they give you £1 and you get £3,500 extra a year, don't think of it as, oh, they've only given me £1 an hour more. Think of that as, they've given me the potential to do exactly what I was doing last year, but earn another £3,500 or £3,000. And if I decide I want to earn more money and I want to take up an extra shift, now I'm doing one more day, which might be worth £5,000 over the course of a year. Then that one extra day might be worth another £5,000. But actually, because it's another £1 more, it now might be worth another £6,500–7,000 a year on top of whatever you want. And I think that's one of the best things about this job, is the flexibility of you being able to set. So the median, I think they said the median wage in the UK at the moment is 35 grand. So 35 grand is the average wage. And I think that, to me personally, I think if you're in a 2-income household, 35 grand, if your partner is matching you at 35 grand, 70 grand income in a household is livable. And if you take that as a medium, so if you do 5, I think I've worked it out, if you do 5 12-hour shifts at 11.50 an hour, you will be earning 36 grand-ish a year. So if you're earning next year's minimum wage and you're doing 5 shifts a week every week throughout the year, you earn roughly about 36 grand. Now, if you're doing more days, you earn more than that. If you do less days, then you earn less than that. And I think that is, like I said, the flexibility that I've got in this job. I can turn around tomorrow and say that I need to spend more time at home, I'm only going to work 4 days, and they say that's fine, but I've just taken my average wage, let's say, from 36 grand down to 32 grand or 33 grand or whatever it is. So when that comes in, that 11.50 an hour, that should boost the minimum security wage to about 36 grand, which is the median in the UK. So you can't turn around and say security is a badly paid job because it's 11.50 an hour, because that 11.50 an hour, 5 12-hour shifts, is above the average. And for people that say, well, yeah, but you're working 12-hour shifts, you could go and I can get a job doing such and such for 32 grand, but I only work 8-9 hours a day. Well, that's fine. You go and do that job for 32 grand. I'll stay over here with my 36, 40 grand job, working more hours, having less free time. But when it comes to the holiday, and you can only afford to go and do £1,000 holiday, but I can go and afford to go and do a £2,000 holiday, don't start saying, well, that's because you work more. In this job, you get out what you put into it, and if you want to put the hours in and you want to earn the 40 grand, then you can go and do it. If you don't want to do that and you only want to earn 32 grand, go and do that as well. So yeah, I think I need to do another video on the wages, because I think people are taking £10 an hour as the actual wage that we earn. I don't know a dog handler that works for £10 an hour, and like I say, that was 2 years ago, and even 2 years ago I don't think I knew a handler that was working for £10 an hour. So yeah, I think that's a video that will that I'll need to redo, the same way that I did with the how much 2023 video. So I done a how much video two years ago, whatever it was, when I first started, and I said, look, this is how much it's going to cost you. Now 2 years down the line, stuff's changed, and stuff has become more expensive, because the same as everything is going up in price. That's why the minimum wage is going up in price. So I've had to redo a how much 2023, and that gives you a much better idea of how much it's going to cost you to get into this industry now compared to what it was 2 years ago. The average wage now for a security dog handler in April next year is going to be a lot higher than it was 2 years ago. Minimum wage going up, our jobs going up, and I do feel sorry for the companies, because they obviously want to try and keep their margins, and in order to do that, they have to put their prices up. Now they're going to be customers that they've had for maybe a couple of years. Maybe last year when the minimum wage went up, maybe companies took a little bit of a hit and said, right, well, we can't afford to put our prices up, but what we'll do is we'll give the handlers another 50p an hour or £1 an hour, which again, 1,500 quid, 3 grand. Some companies might say, look, we can't put our prices up, but we need to do something for the handlers, so we'll take the 3 grand hit for that handler to give him a better wage. Now, if you are loyal to the company, which is what I spoke about earlier on in the week, last week, if you're loyal to the company, they may take that hit and give you that extra £1 an hour and take the 3 grand hit on their income, their margins, in order to do that. But they can't continuously do that year in, year out and keep their prices where they are. So therefore their prices have to go up, but self-employed handlers can obviously, with less overheads, can undercut them. So I do feel sorry for the small businesses, the small security businesses that can't afford to put their prices up by £1 a year, 50p a year, or whatever it is, in order to soften that blow, because there will be lots of handlers on April 1st, whatever it is, knocking on the door saying the minimum wage has gone up, I'm literally on minimum wage, or I'm literally just above minimum wage, I feel like I should get a little bit more. Does that company, for the second year in a row, take a 3 grand hit to give them £1 more? Because now what that company has done is they've not been able to put their prices up over the last 2 years, possibly, in the threat of getting undercut and losing a bulk of work. But now they're 6 grand down to what they was last year. So I do feel sorry for companies that have handlers on the books, that but not just handlers, obviously it is mobile drivers, static guards, it's all of these security staff that they've got to do it. And if they're taking a 3 grand hit on each member of security staff, and they've got 10 security staff, 30 grand, 3 grand a handler, 10 handlers, 30 grand. So overnight they've now got to find another 30 grand. Now do they find that 30 grand by putting their prices up and risk losing a lot of contracts or a decent contract, or do they take that hit and hope that they find extra work, etc.? So I do feel sorry for them, and I think that that's where you have to kind of, if you are working for a security company, or you are a subcontractor for a security company, I do feel like you have to give them a little bit of help or a little bit of leeway, and not just expect them to find, let's say, 10 handlers, not just expect them to find 30 grand in their back pocket that they can take a hit in order to give you a better way. So, but it is something that they're possibly going to have to do with, because the government has done that. But hopefully with all the other stuff, I'm not into all this money side and understanding what all these tax stuff is, but hopefully that because they're putting up minimum wage, they are giving companies a bit of a break in order to give them a bit of a buffer as well. At least someone agrees with me. But I think not say, without going over it again, I think if you want to have not an endless, I don't think it's not an endless bar of how much you can earn, because I've known security dog handlers that are subcontracted. I've known security dog handlers to earn 70 grand a year. I know dog handlers that have done that, and that's because he's willing to put in them hours. Am I willing to earn 70 grand a year as a dog handler? No, because the hourly rate for me to earn 70 grand a year as a dog handler doing what I like to do is going to be astronomically high, and no one's going to pay me that much money to be a dog handler in these current times. No one is going to pay me 70 grand a year as a dog handler to work 5 days a week. It's the hourly rate is going to be too high. So in order to do that, he obviously had to work possibly every night or whatever it is. So the bar of what you can earn as a dog handler is limitless to a certain degree, but you've got to be willing to put in the time. And like I say, if you only want to earn 36 grand or whatever it is, 11.50 an hour, 5 nights a week, then that's what you can earn. If you want to do a bit more, then you earn a bit more. Also on that, if you offered me, let's take it at a day rate. If you offered me 150 quid to do what I do, sit on a site, protect it, be a dog handler, if you offered me £150 a night to do that, or you offered me £200 a day to work 8 hours as a bricklayer, I would choose this job every day of the week. Less stressful, less wearing on your body, more fun. You can take breaks. You're kind of like your own boss, so within reason, you can take breaks whenever you want. You have a lot of downtime. Would I swap £150 a night, 12-hour shift, for £200 a day, 8 hours bricklaying, carrying bricks about, wheeling bricks about, laying bricks, mixing cement, doing all them odd jobs, having an hour's break here just to go and grab a sandwich and that? I choose this job every day of the week. And some people will turn around and say, well, for me it's all the money, I'd rather, and all the free time, I'd rather go and do £200 and be a bricklayer. And I'll say, well, that's fine, but when later on in your life and you've got shoulder issues, back issues, knee issues from carrying bricks up and down ladders, or I don't know how they do it, but carrying bricks, barrel loads of bricks around sites and standing there mixing cement and all that, when you've got knee, hip, back, shoulder issues later on in life, and I've been walking my dog all for the last 20 years, I take my job every day of the week. That and I'm far too skinny to carry a brick. What are we coming up to? Coming up to 50 minutes. Has anyone got anything else that they want to talk about? I think that there's been enough in there that if you're watching this afterwards, you'll probably have something that you want to comment about. Obviously, after this video finishes, so if you've only come in halfway through or you're just coming in now, after this video finishes, I'll publish it out so you can watch it back at a later date. Or if you get bored at some point and you want to listen to the dull tones of my voice to send you to sleep, you can do that. You can be like one handler I know, and he puts me on just to piss his missus off. If you want to do that, then by all means do that. So yeah, if anyone's got anything else that they want to talk about, spoke a bit about wages in this, spoke a little bit about my theories on the job. At the start of this, it started off a little bit haywire, talking about being slugs and etc. But yeah, what we at? 50 minutes and 30 seconds. I'll give you another 30 seconds to get anything in. Other than that, like I say, I'll be back on Monday. I'm going to try and do a Saturday video. I'm going to try and do a Saturday video this week, which is going to be talking about, I don't know what it was. I was thinking about something the other day, and I was going to talk about something. I was thinking about doing a video about consistency, talking about consistency. There was something else that I was going to talk about, but I can't for the life remember what it was, which poses an issue. But consistency was definitely something that I was going to talk about, because I think one of the worst things that you can be in this job is inconsistent. Now, whether that's inconsistent with working with people or inconsistency within the way in which you work. What was that other thing? Don't know, can't remember. But if I do remember, there'll be a video on it on Saturday. So yeah, other than that, thank you for everyone that's dropped into this live for the past 51 minutes and 39, 40 seconds. Like I say, this will get published afterwards. If you've got any comments on anything that you've heard in this video, make sure you put them in the comments section below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below for loads more videos, and as for now, I'll see you again on Monday when I do another one of these lives around about 8 o'clock. I'll see you then. Cheers for watching. See you later.